Hi, my name is Praveen Srivatsa and I play the role of a Microsoft Regional Director for Bangalore and an MVP. One of the things that we'd like to talk to you about is how you manage to work with corporate data. One of the common things that we look at is the fact that as part of corporate data, we typically deal with relational databases. Relational databases have been around for a long time, and the common assumption is that we work with relational databases for most of our data information. But one of the things that we are not always aware of is the fact that unstructured or semi-structured data actually takes up a large part of our lives. When we took a quick survey, we were checking up with people in terms of how much of their corporate data do we think that resides in relational database stores. And usually, it's only around 18 to 20% of your corporate data that goes into structured relational kind of a database stores. So what is the pain with the relational database stores? And what is the pain with applications that are targeting a relational database store? Think of all the various data stores that you work with. You work with physical file systems, which are eternally filled up. You work with emails, you work with videos, images, virtual environments, and the like. And all of these consume a large part of the data that you work with. So over a period of time, one of the things that we have realized is that data is not just what is there as part of our relational database engines. It's also all the information that is stored as part of our emails, all the information that is put there as part of flat files, physical files, audio files, video files, etc. And all of them put together form what we call as a data management infrastructure. From a corporate environment perspective, we understand that relational databases makes more sense for reporting, analysis, and huge amounts of data, but is not necessarily the best way for us to get started with capturing data and getting workflows done in place. Obviously, it is not ideally suited for rich reporting or a corporate infrastructure. But workflows, semi-structured data and the like is something that it ideally targets for. In fact, if we take a look at how we work with regular relational kind of a database stores, we realize that we build a leave application system. But once we enter a leave request, we go back and start a new thread of conversation as part of our email. We send out emails to customers, we send out email to vendors, we send out emails to other people involved to come back and start tracking up in terms of what is happening as part of that whole request. Whether it's an invoicing system, whether it is a leave management system, or a simple intranet kind of an application, all of these systems comes back and gives us the option of working with structured data which we define up front. But we quickly fall back to using a semi-structured or a non-structured kind of a store for us to work with all of this kind of information. In fact, it's much easier to get things done and roll out faster when we deal with non-structured relational stores. So you can think about emails, you can think about files that we store, and more importantly, as we go ahead, you can think of audio conversations, video conversations, VHT environments, which are virtual environments that we work with, etc. And all of these take up huge amounts of data. The moment we start working with this kind of a data store, our data consumption grows exponentially. From a plan perspective, the objective is not just to work with the size of data, but more importantly, to come back and take a look at who has access to what kind of a data. If we just rolled out a corporate video which explains our entire sales strategy for the next year, do we really want to give access to this for everyone in the world across the organization? Securing our unstructured data is as big a challenge as coming back and maintaining it and working with it in terms of size of data. Historically, we have always asked the questions: do we want to store our images and our video files for that matter inside a relational data store, or do we want it to store it outside of it? From an IT infrastructure perspective, we have well-defined practices of what are the kind of relational stores that we want to work with, and we size for them, we plan for them, we budget for them, and we roll it out. So over a period of time, we have a good hold over the kind of relational database store structures that we need, and that's a planned effort. But one of the unplanned efforts that we have is how do we work with non-relational data stores. In fact, I'm sure most of us have had this scenario wherein all the data space that we have ever got gets consumed quite fast. Whether we are talking of 80 gigs, 360 gigs, or even 500 gigs as part of a desktop machine, it gets consumed extremely fast. On servers, terabytes of data gets consumed seamlessly without even thinking about it. Now, given the scenario, what we would like to do is to have a merge between relational data stores and unstructured data stores. A simple example of this is to come back and say we have a list of various information stores that we work with. So it could be a list of videos, a list of images, a list of documents that we want to work with, which could be even salary slips. While the relational data store can work towards querying, searching, filtering, and working with all of these kinds of data, we need to access these physical files from outside, which is our semi-structured data store. So in an ideal world, what we would really like to have is a mix of a relational and a unstructured kind of a data structures. When we come back and look at a SharePoint kind of a solution, on one side, it gives us a complete relational kind of a logic, wherein we can create lists, we can create definitions, we can define data types and relationships across all of these. But internally, all of this information is not stored in a regular relational kind of a format. So what happens here is we use a portal kind of a solution, which gives us a mix of semi-structured data as well as a place wherein we can upload document files, Excel sheets, PowerPoint presentations and the like, and store all of these inside the PowerPoint portal itself. So given this kind of an environment, it becomes quite easy to mix and match relational data stores as well as semi-structured data stores. SharePoint gives us a single point of definition of security. So the moment we remove somebody from one site or from one list, they get access to nothing inside of the whole list. And that is true even if they're searching for data using the entire corporate search across the entire portal. A few challenges that we typically have here. One, when you're working with relational data stores, you need to write code for everything because everything is very well defined. But when you're looking for semi-structured or unstructured data, your search, your permissions, your sharing of the files in terms of how you work with, the number of copies of the data that you have, etc., all needs to be taken into consideration. So working with unstructured data has its own set of challenges. The moment you come back and work with unstructured data, say in an Excel sheet, it's very difficult now to come back and start reporting as part of this. So the moment your manager turns around and asks you for a rich set of reports on statistics, what happened, what's the status, etc., you turn back and say, my unstructured data no longer helps me, and you want to revert to a full-fledged relational database structure.